Welcome Exofighters to yet another advanced exosuit guide, for this time featuring our demolitionist Barrage. This episode was quite fun to make since I generally like to compare numbers and abilities, and Barrage has a lot of modules for mainly enhancing their damage, and a few of the test results actually surprised me, so I hope it will have the same effects on you all. Now, the mandatory reminder that this is an advanced exosuit guide, and if you're interested in the basics, I recommend the Ultimate Classes video I have. Here I will only mention the most important mechanics for the exosuit, Barrage's exclusive modules and how they work, and then I will share a PvE and PvP build that I personally use. Additionally, our community Discord has also established a proper Exoprimal section for it, so if you're looking for a friendly and comfy server to discuss the game on and play with others without any toxicity, I wholeheartedly recommend joining my server, which is in the description of this video. With that said, let's begin. Barrage is a demolitionist assault character featuring their grenade launcher and abilities to ignite their enemies on fire, both of them bringing very powerful mechanics, especially for PvE, making Barrage a top pick for dealing pure damage. First of all, it's worth talking about the grenade launcher, as this weapon is unique considering it has special explosive damage. Not exactly sure how the game categorizes it precisely, but it has better armor penetration as other weapons, and it is a lot easier to deal higher damage against armored dinosaurs compared to others. So combined with the high damage, slow and easy handling, and armor penetration, Barrage isn't just a good pick for high-end players, but it makes them also a very beginner-friendly exosuit too. One little trick for the grenade launcher is that make sure you use the bouncing or the arcing of your shots, as for example, shooting hordes from above will make your explosions a lot more effective to hit multiple dinosaurs, or the opposite, bouncing your grenades off the ground against the Triceratops will hit its weak spot belly easier for increased damage. So while yes, I think it's an easy to get into exosuit, it also has a pretty high skill ceiling. Next to the grenade launcher, a minor mechanic everyone should know about with Barrage is that your triple threat ability that lays explosive mines on the ground also have a special use that if you detonate them while you're standing on any of the mines, Barrage will be launched into the air in exchange for a little bit of health, which is great if you want to get into certain positions or higher areas, but it's also a fantastic setup tool to launch your Burning Heart overdrive from the air and make sure you hit what you're aiming for. Now let's take a look at their modules. As I said, checking out Barrage's modules was really fun from a guide point of view, but it might be a little bit disappointing from a player's point of view, and you'll see why. The first category of them is between Blast Enhancer and Impact Grenade, a seemingly interesting competition for damage, with a fairly disappointing result once observed a bit deeper. Blast Enhancer's main draw is that it increases Barrage's ammo capacity from 6 to 10, allowing you to shoot for longer without having to reload, which is nice for a while until you unlock another module that removes reloading completely as a mechanic, after which this becomes fairly pointless. But the blast radius also seems to be a fairly mediocre utility here that you can get. I tested it on hordes, and while yes, it does increase your radius to hit more raptors, with good grenade launcher arcing and usage, I don't think this is such a useful module, and while I'm not a PvP main, I usually play PvE, I also don't think the blast is that useful there, but correct me if I'm wrong. Opposite of Blast Enhancer though, we have Impact Grenade, which increases the direct hit damage of your grenades by 15%, which is a pretty significant increase, especially considering what I mentioned about having an easier time hitting larger dinosaurs and dealing overall more damage to them with Barrage. This is an overall upgrade of everything that makes Barrage great. Out of interest, I have also done extensive testing comparing all versions of Blast Enhancer and Impact Grenade as DPS, and even without the instant reload module that we'll talk about later, the damage increase of Impact Grenade gives you more damage per second than the increased magazine of Blast Enhancer, and with reload dodge, it's a massive advantage. And the reason for this is that it isn't the reload that is the greatest time loss for Barrage, but it is the gap between your shots. So in case they want the modules to compete with each other, instead of a magazine increase, I think they should go for an increased attack speed, which would be a good boost, plus also interesting playstyle wise since it will be harder to play Barrage with it. Our next category is for Boost Grenade and Lingering Threat, choosing whether you want to modify your stun grenades or your triple threat ability, which in my opinion is mainly a PvP versus PvE option. Boost Grenade reduces the cooldown of your stun grenade by 4 seconds and gives you an attack power boost of 20% for 3 seconds, which sounds really nice on paper, but the duration is so short that you only have time for one grenade launcher shot, and you can't really combo it with any of your abilities except for maybe triple threat detonation, but I tried to combo it with Burning Heart, your overdrive ability, and sadly it ends before you would detonate it. So if anyone has a good combination for it, let me know, but I couldn't test anything that actually makes this damage boost worthwhile. Now the reduced cooldown is nice for further defense in PvP, but its main draw that I actually found though is that upon stunning an exosuit, this increased attack power allows you to destroy another player before they can even move, while without the buff of boost grenade that isn't possible, so that is why I call this mostly a PvP option. The stun against dinosaurs is decent, but it only flinches large dinosaurs for like 1 second after 2 grenades, so I don't think it's worth for that. The other module is Lingering Threat, that increases the duration of your flames on the ground while also decreasing the cooldown of the ability, which I think is the main option here in case you're going for pure damage, as the burning of Triple Threat is extremely potent in both PvP and PvE, where I think it's around 120 damage per second if all 3 of your flames are ticking on a large dinosaur, and if you manage to hit them with your bombs, that's 200 damage each, and the combination of burning and explosions are far exceeding the damage of your stun grenades and the buff would do, so I think this is a clear winner here, maybe even for PvP, since the burning is such a powerful status effect that I might trade that stun combo for this most of the time. Finally, the last modules are Reload Dodge and Flare Dodge, both giving additional effects to your Flip Dodge ability, but once again, I feel this isn't a fair competition. First, Flare Dodge increases the damage and blast radius of your dodge explosion by 200% even, which sounds absolutely amazing on paper, but once you try it, it's really underwhelming and that damage isn't really going to change anything. As a bonus, it also says it increases the chance of you burning dinosaurs, which I tested, and it takes 3 dodges to burn a Carnotaurus, which I find way too slow, especially that you can just set it on fire a lot easier with triple threat and a couple of your grenade launcher shots without having to go close and be in danger. The only good use I found for Flare Dodge is that this module at least makes your dodge ability extremely good against hordes, and if you're surrounded by raptors for instance, this dodge will pretty much annihilate anything around you, so if you need even more horde clearing ability as Barrage, which I don't think we really do, but this option then exists. Your other dodge is Reload Dodge, which is a very simple but efficient module. If you dodge, it fully reloads your grenade launcher, and since the cooldown time of your flip dodge will be less than the time required to empty your magazine, you now have basically infinite ammunition and you'll never have to reload, which as I said earlier is best combined with the impact grenade module for the most damage you can get out of your grenade launcher. I think this is also a clear and overall winner here. Usually it is large dinosaurs that give you the most trouble and not hordes, so unless they're going to change the density of small dinosaurs in the future, which I can totally see, I would go for Reload Dodge until then, as that single target DPS is what's going to help you the most by far for now. So as I said, really cool comparisons for all modules, but I found most of them sadly underwhelming when it comes to competition, so Barrage might have the least build variety among exosuits. Now that we know all of Barrage's modules, here are my builds. So for PvE, it is Impact Grenade for the 15% direct damage boost, Lingering Threat for more triple threat uses and longer fire damage, since this is an incredibly good damaging ability, and finally we use Reload Dodge as it removes your reload time completely and gives you a fairly large chunk of DPS on top of that. As an alternative choice, you can swap either Reload Dodge or Triple Threat, but I would go for the Dodge, for High Soul Compression module, which gives Barrage at least another use of Burning Heart during your missions, so in case you get a lot of large dinosaurs, you have even more burst against them. For PvP, the very same build would also be technically good, but for extra defense you can swap Lingering Threat for Boost Grenade to have more stuns, and you can also execute your stun combo with it, and perhaps even play a little bit more aggressive in your games instead of just staying back, so depending on your playstyle, both modules are viable here. Reload Dodge can also be swapped to anything you'd like here, since an instant reload isn't as useful in PvP, but since even then half of your game will be against dinosaurs, I wouldn't necessarily take it out. And with that said, that is my advanced Barrage guide for Exoprimal, a really fun and beginner-friendly exosuit for which I can't wait for their alpha variant. It looks really cool, reminds me of the Scout from Team Fortress, but I do hope this video cleared things about Barrage and especially their modules, so you have a good view now which modules are best used for damage and which are more utility instead. As I mentioned at the start, feel free to join our Discord server if you're looking for a friendly and good community to play Exoprimal with. The server is open and well moderated. But that is it for this video, everyone. I'll finish the rest of the exosuit guides in the coming days. Thank you for your patience and support. Take care for now, have a wonderful day, and I'll see you all the next time.